Welcome to all my travelers out there. I am your host, Darren Beckett, and this is the Global Travel Podcast. For those who do not know my travel resume, I've been to 13 states, 15 countries on 5 different continents, but it is not about me. Here, we are giving you quality travel tips, insights, and recommendations on all the best destinations for ideas to enjoy your vacations. With that being said, sit back, relax, and enjoy the ride. We are all clear for takeoff. So, all right, before we head to our destination, make sure you guys hit the subscribe button, click the bell, and if you could do me a huge favor, if you guys could just go to the comment section, write in the words, "I got my ticket," and I'm going to come back, respond to see how your experience went with us, all right? So with that being said, on today's episode, we are taking a trip to Paraguay. So make sure you got your passports, your earphones, and something to snack on. We have a very special guest here with us today. But before I introduce them, let me just say this. We actually met in 2014 studying abroad in Chile. And ever since then, this man has been on the go, been traveling across the world in the United States and everywhere else. So he's been to most of the states in the United States, and he's been to 25 countries. So he knows what he's talking about. So if Paraguay is somewhere you want to go, you definitely want to pay attention. Without further ado, let me introduce you to Daniel Klebaner.
Hey, thanks for having me, Darren. I'm very happy to be here.
No problem. Hey, thank you for being here, brother. I really appreciate it. Like I said, folks, we met way back in 2014. I guess it wasn't way back, but we met a little while back in Chile. So we was learning our Spanish, and he can attest. My Spanish was very terrible at that time. So I was learning from him. He was one of the folks that was helping me with my Spanish. So one of the many folks helping me with my Spanish. So with that being said, we call him Danny. I call him Danny. So honey, if Danny works, Danny works. So Danny, tell us about yourself. Who are you? Where are you from? Where you live? Hobbies, X, Y, and Z.
So I'm actually from Denver, Colorado, and like you said, we met back in 2014 in Chile, which was an awesome time studying abroad. Really fun, fantastic people there, and you were one of my favorite people I met down there, and I thought that was awesome. So. My name's Danny Klebaner. I'm currently a master's student at University of Colorado in Denver, studying urban planning. And on the side, I'm working at a restaurant just to, pay the bills, keep busy a little bit. So if you ever want to visit Denver too, I definitely know the city well since born and raised here. And yeah. That's a little about me.
Yeah, well, since you born and raised in Colorado, I don't think we had a chance to speak on Colorado too much. But we have somebody born and raised, so you'll be the perfect tour guide. So what would you recommend for our travelers, our listeners out there? What would you recommend for us to do, see, eat, experience, X, Y, and Z, and all that good stuff?
Okay, so Colorado's got obviously great natural landscapes, and I think that's going to be a highlight if you come here. You got to visit the mountains. That's going to be on the to-do list for sure. And if you're going to a couple places in Colorado, Denver, I definitely recommend. We have all 4 major sports, so if you're interested in football, baseball, basketball, hockey, we got soccer too. Got it all in terms of sports. And then Red Rocks is always a place, people have to visit, especially if they're here during the summer. Go see a concert in Red Rocks. They have, big name bands. It's definitely, I'd say a world-renowned amphitheater. So definitely worth visiting. If you're here in winter, a lot of people try out skiing, snowboarding. Definitely, a mainstay of Colorado. And then, of course, we got the legal dispensaries out here. So if you're ever interested in, it is expanding throughout the nation, but Colorado is one of the first with the recreational marijuana. And it's always fun, to at least try that out if you get a chance out here, which I would recommend if you're into that.
Right, 420. Yeah, if you're 420 friendly, then yeah, Colorado, as I remember, was one of the first, if not the first ones to legalize it. Well, I guess I don't know if that's the right word, but legalize it recreationally. So,
Hmm.
yeah,
Hmm.
and if it's not your thing, it's not your thing. But if it is, yeah, definitely try that out. I haven't been to Colorado, so I don't know what it's like, but I'm sure Danny, I can take your word for it. So yeah, I'm sure we should
Hmm.
do that.
Oh, and then we got some excellent national parks here. Great Sand Dunes National Park. It almost feels like you're in another country. Huge sand dunes right up against the mountains. Rocky Mountain National Park's another one right up near Boulder, big destination. And then outside of that park, there are some beautiful lakes. Grand Lake is a definite, must see if you're up around there. Unfortunately, hit pretty hard by some fires this summer. It was crazy fire season, but I'm sure in the coming year or so, they'll definitely want to have some, more tourists back there and try to get the area back going. So
Hmm.
and then other natural things you can do. I sometimes get out and fish. There's good fishing spots around. Obviously not the big sea stuff, but we got a lot of different species of fish, different trout, stuff like that, which it can always be fun. Just kick back and if you're not looking to do something too crazy, just go ahead and do some fishing, which I'd recommend out here as well.
A lot of nature. It sounds like a lot of nature going on out there in Colorado. So, yeah, if you're into the outdoorsy stuff, nature, especially during the time right now, this would be a good time to. Now, are they? Is it like strict to travel into Colorado? It's not like anybody can just go. We can just travel anywhere in the United States. I'm assuming, of course. So, are they?
Okay,
What's like mass requirements and all that?
yeah, yeah. So actually, I was had some friends that just headed off to Hawaii, and they needed to get, I think, two positive COVID tests before they were even allowed to get on a plane to Hawaii. And I think New York, you're technically supposed to be quarantining for 14 days or something. I think at the moment you're allowed to come into
So,
Colorado. Obviously, be safe out there, but I think our borders are open. So that's a good thing.
right. Yeah, because I know in Hawaii too as well, you got to quarantine for 14 days as well. So every state got their, have their own, rules and regulations that they follow and whatnot. So cool. So
Definitely.
Colorado, and I'm pretty sure California is pretty liberal, and that's probably why we got the issues we got. But yeah, so far as so, what about the food in Colorado? What would you recommend folks to eat? Restaurants or cafes and drinks and all that?
Okay, definitely. So, Colorado, I'd say we're definitely known as like kind of a steak and burger type place. If you never heard of Rocky Mountain oysters, I won't tell you too much, but maybe you'll try a Rocky Mountain oyster. Or there's some old iconic places that'll even serve rattlesnake. There's this one place called the Buckhorn Exchange. That's one of the oldest restaurants in the state, and they'll serve everything from big game to rattlesnake, Rocky Mountain oysters. That's kind of a weird thing. I won't tell you too much about it, but maybe go in blind and you'll enjoy it.
Ooh, rattlesnake, man. Hey, I just got off a podcast with a frat brother of mine. He said he tried a cricket. So he said fried cricket, it was just like kind of like chips, I guess. So
Yeah, that sounds interesting.
yeah, every teach his own. Now, have you tried the rattlesnake yourself?
I didn't try the rattlesnake. I have tried the Rocky Mountain oysters though. And you're in for an interesting treat if you try that.
I'm
Um,
sure.
and then I'd say kind of similar to California. There's some good taco places and good Mexican food out here. I don't know if it's quite to the level of California because they have some of the best out there. Just visiting my brother, he always takes me to a couple different taco trucks and they're great out there. But we have some good taco places. we have some really good burgers if you're into that. A place called Cherry Cricket. I think they're kind of a renowned place across the country for burgers. We got a pretty good beef out here. Obviously, being out in the West, a lot of open space out here. Um,
Mhm.
you can get some definite good steaks and stuff here too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that sounds like a place I need to hit up myself. Definitely burger. I'm a burger fan. I do want to try the snowboarding and skiing and all that good stuff. That's on my list as well. I'm a hold on the rattlesnake. I'm a hold on that. Um, but Colorado definitely. And then when it is when it's what's the weather like? Is it you got the four seasons? When it's hot like in the summertime. When it's wintertime and snow, you got the four seasons, the true four seasons there.
Yeah, I'd say we have the true four seasons. We'll honestly we get kind of a bad rap because we have very early snows sometimes and very late. So it'll be snowing in May sometimes, and
Oh,
I mean it'll melt the next day or something. But
right.
people are like, oh, they hear that they're like, oh, Colorado's got bad weather, but we actually have, I'd say, at least 300 days of sunshine a year. We got very warm weather generally, no humidity. So even if it is chilly out, you could just put on a coat and it doesn't feel too bad.
I'm a huge weather person. Probably I'm spoiled and raised in Southern California. We get sunshine probably 300 days out the year. What is that? 2 months? It leaves 2 months for a little bit. No, we probably don't. We probably get more than 300. But
Right.
it doesn't rain that often or snow in Southern California. Now Northern California is a little different. But Southern
Mhm.
California, it rains sometimes. We got to water the grass and the plants and all that. But for the most part, it's pretty sunny. But so I like that you guys don't have any humidity. That's one of the things I don't really care for is the humidity. So that's good to know. That's really
Oh
good to
yeah,
know.
I'm
Uh,
not a fan of humidity at all.
yeah, exactly. So what other states can you talk about before we head out internationally?
Okay. One state that I've spent actually a fair amount of time in is Florida.
Mm,
Tampa, St. Pete area is probably one of the nicest areas for beaches in the entire country.
mm,
St. Pete specifically, there's a park there, a state park called Fort DeSoto State Park. I think
mm.
it's consistently rated in the top five, top 10 beaches in the entire country. I'd say the best months to be there are probably uh, any months really except for the heat of the summer, August, uh, July, maybe parts of June, where you have that 100% humidity, 95-degree heat, where it's a little bit, kind of oppressive heat. But I'd say almost the rest of the year, it's a fun time to be there. Really, people think of Florida and there's some, negative thoughts a lot of the time, but I'd say Tampa, St. Pete is one of the best parts of Florida for sure.
Okay.
I'd highly recommend it. Um, and then kind of moving across to the other side of the country, I think, Seattle area up into like British Columbia, Victoria, very beautiful area, and I would highly recommend going in the summer. I actually went, visited a friend, did some sailing up there. Very memorable trip. We actually were catching salmon off of a sailboat, which was awesome.
Yeah.
Kind of unexpected, but just the natural beauty up there is pretty special too. And you got, clean air, blue skies generally, and it's a very refreshing place to go, I'd say.
Nice, nice. And yeah, that's one of the I've been to Seattle. I was a young lad though at the time, so I don't remember too much about it. It was hot. I do remember it was the summertime, I believe. It was a little hot and humid.
Mm-hmm.
But I was young, so I don't remember too much about it. So that's another place I want to. I actually heard that Seattle has some good seafood out there. We just actually had a podcast where my frat brother talked a lot about the food as he because he's a foodie. So when he traveled, food is like the priority. And I
Okay.
like that. I because some everybody got their thing, and he said that Seattle was probably the best. Well, third. He listed. What did he list? What did he list? Number one was New Orleans. So Louisiana got the best food for him. Number two was Chicago. And then number three was Seattle with the seafood. So Adam, you say you know, I know you've been to most of the states. What do you think? What cities do you think have the best food? Top
Mm.
three. Top three.
I gotta go with New York, up there in my top three.
Hmm.
I visited there every year growing up. Just to the north in Connecticut, it's Stamford, Connecticut, where my grandma was from, and it's only about an hour train ride down into the city.
Hmm.
Obviously, the pizza there, love the pizza.
Hmm.
Uh, but I just think overall, New York's got a really good culinary scene. And there's basically anything you could ever want. They have food from every culture. Every culture. It's definitely a melting pot. So they really take pride in their food out there in New York. Let's see, number two, I might have to go with LA just because I love the taco trucks. My brother always he knows food very well. He always treats me to the best stuff. Their Thai food, Korean food there is really special. I love the Korean barbecue.
Yeah.
You do a great job of that in LA. And then for my third city, let me think. I mean, I know Denver's food scene pretty well, and we have definitely some up and coming places. So we definitely have some good food here. I'm trying to think of like a regional specialty that I would. The seafood in Florida is really good too.
Hmm.
Get
Hmm.
grilled grouper sandwiches, mahi mahi, lobsters down there. Um, I'd really like to spend some time in Miami because I've been there, visited for a couple days, but I mean the Cuban food down there is excellent. They have Haitian food that's really good, and I think just the overall size of the city and how close of a connection it is, kind of as a South American connection. They have really good South American food.
Hmm.
Um, from a lot of different countries.
Right.
So even though I haven't spent enough time there, I probably would put Miami up there in the top three in the nation if I had to rate, three food destinations in the country. New
Hmm.
Orleans also has really good food. So
Yeah. Yeah.
I've been to New Orleans and the food there was excellent. The po' boys and yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, excellent
Yeah.
excellent food. So
Yeah, you got options, y'all. You got options, man. There's a lot of places you can go just feed your face and enjoy yourself. I think, like I said, food is one of those major things you got to try out when you travel. So put that on your list to do, man. Try out some local cuisines and local dishes. All right. So and then now tell us about a state that's not so popular. We know the New Yorks, the Californias, the Floridas, and stuff like that. What about the not so popular states that you've been to that you recommend?
mm, that's a good question. I think one state that's kind of flown under the radar, I think that's actually a pretty cool state that's up and coming. I would say Idaho. Kind of forgotten
Mm.
state. I visited there. A friend of mine was having a wedding, so I stayed at his place, and it was near the Snake River, which is a really beautiful river. Um, it's kind of it's kind of out in the middle of nowhere, and you wouldn't think of it as being a very pretty state, but it actually is one of the most beautiful states, I think. It's got a mix of mountains, plains, forests. I hear Boise's a really upcoming city. I
Mm.
went there for a day, and we swam in the river there, and I've heard it's up there with like Portland and Seattle as among like a faster growing city in the entire U.S. Um, and yeah, I would say give it a shot. You wouldn't think of it, but it's near some other interesting places. It's near um, near enough to maybe Montana and the Glacier National Park, you can maybe check out a few destinations, especially if you're, I feel like if you're going to one of those places, you might be wanting to do it on a road trip. Just because the West is so big and sprawling, and there's a ton of open space out here. So to really get the most of it, I may maybe check it out on a road trip. One other kind of underrated place that I visited was Carolina Beach, and it was just at the southern tip of North Carolina, and I think it was near Wilmington, which is a college town. And if you want to get together with friends and go hit the beach in kind of a more regular spot, I'd say go ahead and give it a shot. It was a very beautiful beach, and it wasn't as expensive as going to beaches in other areas. So it's definitely worth checking out.
Yeah, that's something I want to try to do, is do some states where you don't really think about, like you said, Idaho. I was actually looking up something in Idaho. I believe they have hot springs, if I'm not mistaken. So that's one of the things I want to try out, is a hot spring. I've never been to a hot spring before, so I think that'd be pretty dope. And
Okay.
then, yeah. And then, there's a few places, Montana, I don't know, South Dakota, North Dakota. So very, very off the beaten path, and it's just that's not like the first thing you think about when you travel. It's like, hey, let's go to North Dakota, so
Yeah.
or Utah, you know what I mean? So I want to try.
Utah, actually, I've been through Utah a few times, and in terms of like, if you want to hit a few national parks in one trip, Utah is definitely at the top of the list, I would say. And going back to hot springs, out here in Colorado, we have several really nice hot springs. Glenwood Springs is a city in Colorado with excellent hot spring. And then just throughout the state, we're dotted with several hot springs. There's several out here and they're all pretty cool.
And you know what? I've been to a hot spring when I was in Costa Rica. I was in a hot spring that was real dope. So for the folks that don't know what a hot spring is, tell them what a hot spring is and all that. So what is a hot spring?
So you have thermal waters that are coming out of the ground, and normally they're flowing near rivers, and sometimes they're very natural places where I've been to a hot spring that was just several rocks in a river that it kind of keeps the warm water pooling in a smaller area. But they've actually developed some of these geothermal springs into pools and developed into, kind of spa resorts at some locations. So there's different levels of them, and there's different heat sometimes too. Sometimes the hot spring can be really, really hot, and sometimes it can just be, it still feels like you're in a pretty cool river. But they're very nice, and I love the hot springs. You get minerals and just really relaxes the body, I feel like.
Yeah, definitely. It's supposed to be, I don't know, don't quote me, but it's supposed to be some advantages of being in the hot spring for your skin or what have you. I don't know the whole details on it. You might want to look that up. But yeah, it have like minerals and all that good stuff. And then you mentioned some crucial was that you have natural hot springs, and then you have those man-made hot springs where it's for like tourists and hotels and whatnot. But the natural hot springs is the ones where those are the ones you want to go. You want to try a natural hot spring. So if you can, definitely do that, or else the man-made one just for like a jacuzzi, which I mean that's pretty much what a hot spring is. It's a jacuzzi, big old jacuzzi, but natural. So yeah, that's pretty much what that is. And now let's go ahead. Let's go ahead and head to out the states. So let's say bye to the United States for a second, and let's head into let's do Amsterdam, man. Let's talk about Amsterdam a little bit, man. I know you've been to Amsterdam.
Yeah.
How was that for you?
Well, this is actually pretty funny. So Darren and I hadn't seen each other at least a couple years, 2.5 years maybe, and we actually ran into each other out in Amsterdam. I was doing a Europe trip. I'd just been working 6-7 months, just save money, and I was heading all over Europe. And Darren I think doing a similar thing, except for his might have been a little shorter, but it still was cool. He was actually staying on a boat in Amsterdam when I met him with this French kid. And so we were riding bikes all over town, trying out some different coffee shops and really, I don't know, having an excellent time out there. It's a beautiful city, and if you love bikes and just being in a city where you don't have to worry about transportation because there's bikes everywhere, good buses, and it's a pretty condensed city. And it's very beautiful. The whole of Netherlands, I think, is only about 40 miles wide or so. Very narrow country. And Amsterdam is a place to go if you're out there. Tell me a little bit more of your experience when we were out there.
Well, yeah, so it's crazy. I don't know. Like I said, it's been a couple years since we've been in Chile, so it was very random how we just ended up in Amsterdam. It was not planned. We just ended up in Amsterdam at the same time. He was like, "Man, I'm gonna be in Amsterdam on such and such time." I'm like, "Oh, me too." And it was like, let's link up. We end up linking up. And then, like I said, there was bike. So for those who do not know, Amsterdam is built like on a canal. So it's like on a riverbed or whatever, water. So there's a lot of canals and rivers or whatever you can go through. And then everything is bikes. Everybody's on a bike, or like not like a motorcycle, but an actual bicycle. So that is the normal transportation to get from point A to point B in Amsterdam. So when I say, and it's like the bikes have the right of way. So you can't, don't.
Yeah, I remember I almost got hit by a few of those bikes and people were mad at me because I'm just not even watching it. There's 1,000 bikes coming every which way. And
yeah, damn tourist. That's what that's what they was talking about us. Because I mean, when I say it was just a litany of bikes, just so many bikes, man. I've never seen so many bikes in my life. It was ridiculous. I'm like you shouldn't even have a car. You shouldn't even have a car. You should just get a bike and that's it. And you mentioned the coffee shops. Now let's talk about the coffee shops before for those, this sound like this is like a 420 podcast, but in Amsterdam, I'm pretty sure y'all already know it's very liberal. It's a liberal country. I'm sure y'all know about the red light district. Y'all probably heard about that. That's true. And the coffee shop. Now let's talk about the coffee shops. Now the coffee shops, for those folks who are 420 friendly, this is for you. Now, if you want to go to Amsterdam, now, you want to hit up a coffee shop. Now, when we talk about coffee shop, we're not just talking about like your Starbucks coffee shop. So let's say, matter of fact, let's use Starbucks. Say you got a Starbucks out there, and they got different coffee shops name, but it's not Starbucks. But you go into the coffee shop, and not only do they have coffee, you can smell the coffee, but they have weed. It's a dispensary. If you ever been to a dispensary, you got all your weeds, top shelf, middle shelf, bottom shelf, private reserve. You got your tinctures. You got all kind of. I don't. As you can see, I kind of know my thing on this. But you got all your things there. So if you are 420 friendly and you want to hit up Amsterdam, go to the coffee shop, and I'm telling you, you can smoke right there in the coffee shop, and it blew my mind. I was like, 'cause you can smell it as soon as you hit the street. You hit the street and you can see, you can smell the weed everywhere, just everywhere. And you go to a coffee shop, you ask for, I don't drink coffee, but I think I had like a tea, but you can, order your coffee, your tea, and then order.
Yeah, they have good tea, coffee, snacks in there. I think I remember getting some like fries at one of those places.
yeah, you can do it all. And then you can just sit there and smoke your joint, and it's very legal. Well, actually, you know what? It's not actually legal, actually. That's the funny part. It's not like in the laws, it's not legal there, but I don't know how. I guess it's I don't know what the correct terminology is for it, but they got them there, so it's not a secret. It's definitely not a secret. So
yeah, and everybody seems good with it. So
it brings the country or the town or city or whatever a lot of money because of tourism, and I heard that the folks there that live in there, they're not the ones that's going. It's all the tourism, and of course you got some folks living there who are 420 friendly as well, but yeah, we got a chance to experience what Amsterdam was like, and so that was pretty dope. That was pretty dope.
Yeah, one thing I will say about Amsterdam, I definitely recommend if you're just traveling around Europe or if you're looking at Amsterdam specifically, definitely find a hostel ahead of time because it's such a popular location. I had some struggles, just like, finding the right hostel, and it was so packed and so popular of a destination. It's a place to plan ahead for. I imagine right now there's probably a little less tourism than in the past, but it'll probably pick up pretty quick. And yeah, it's a place you definitely have to plan ahead for, just because of its overall popularity, and it's, so small and densely populated that sometimes I think lodging can be a little more limited. And just the popularity of the place. You can find some really cool, nice hostels there. I think the Dutch know what they're doing in terms of, organization and getting people, in good lodging. But you gotta, just plan ahead.
Right. Yeah. Very, very, very true. Definitely for those popular places you want to plan ahead, just like with anything else, of course. And then not only Amsterdam, what other countries before we hit Paraguay up, what other countries would you like to talk about?
So the most recent trip I took was actually to Peru. And I highly recommend Peru. I think you were talking about it in a previous podcast, but I don't know if you covered all the locations that I went to. One specifically kind of off the beaten path area in Peru is called Iquitos. And that's in the Amazon. It's the beginning of the Amazon River, actually. Amazon, pretty much. There are other tributaries that converge there, and that's where the Amazon River actually begins. And I was in the Amazon, swimming in the Amazon. There were pink river dolphins, pretty amazing. And it's just far enough out of the way. There's actually no land connection there. So to get there, you either have to take a plane or go by boat to get to this city. And just amazing rainforest. And actually, a lot of people that go there, ayahuasca is a legal and spiritual thing people do in the rainforest there. Drink ayahuasca tea, and apparently it can be very cleansing for people, and there's whole retreats based on it. I did not try it out, but if I do go again, I think, it's something that people highly recommend, and it's something that can be like a purifying process that I was told about. So yeah, if you're going to Peru, get off the beaten path. And check out Iquitos, and you get there, and it seems like a whole nother world. There's just like moto taxis everywhere. There's hardly any cars. There's these colorful moto taxis everywhere when you land on the plane or get in by boat, and it really seems like something entirely different. It's a really unique city, and definite jumping off point if you want to take some deeper, exploration of the Amazon rainforest.
Yeah, I like that. I like that a lot. Like I said, Peru is definitely on my bucket list, and I know we talked about Machu Picchu, and I know in that last episode about Peru, and that was one of the main things that we all know about Peru. But real quick before we touch down in Paraguay, let's hit Chile real quick. That's where it all started when we met and studied abroad in Chile. So we were staying with host family, our Chilean family, and then I don't know, I stayed in Villa del Mar. Was you in Valparaiso, or where did you stay?
Yeah. So I was in Valparaiso, a place called Recreo, actually, which is in the middle of Viña and Valpo. And if you haven't visited Chile, Viña and Valpo are amazing. So they're both coastal cities, and Valpo is made up of over 40 distinct hills, which are called cerros there. And they're all the neighborhoods, each kind of unique and into itself. And the street art there is amazing. You got to get yourself a completo, which is basically a big hot dog, and if you like mayo, you'll even think there's too much mayo on it because they put about I don't know a half bottle of mayo on each completo, and then it's got some guacamole on it, which they call palto there, and definite specialty. And I would say the Chileans, especially if you get the chance to stay with the host family, they're very kind people. A little more closed off in the beginning and serious, but once you get to know people, they're very friendly group. And yeah, really beautiful country. Just starting there, and then I went on several little trips around the country. I think you did as well, just moving north to south. There's this beautiful city called Pucón, which is in the mountains. It's in a lakes region there, and yeah, amazing natural beauty down there.
Right. Yeah, I definitely agree. Definitely agree. We had a good time. Was there for a full semester, and it was a great opportunity, especially for me. I don't know about you, Danny, but that was my first time out of the country, so it was culture shock for me. So that was pretty dope. And then, quick story before we head on out of Chile. But I don't know if you remember this or not, Danny, but the last day of class, man, the last day of class, our teacher. So it was only like 5 of us in the class per class, so it wasn't like it was a whole bunch of us in class, but we had like a little party at the end, right? So everybody brought, whatever chips and salsa or whatever they brought, snacks and goodies or whatever. And then the teacher also allowed us to bring wine. Now let me tell you. So I had maybe one too many glasses of wine, and and so it was so funny because when I say I was lit, bruh, let me tell you, at the end of class, everything's all over with, whatever, time to go home. This is our last day of class. And we had in front of the school, it was like this little, it's not a park, but like a grassy area. And I was so lit that I couldn't go home. I was just like in a whole nother mood. So I just literally, I think that y'all went to go do something else. I think it was Lil and you, but y'all went to go do something else. And I literally had to take a nap on that grass. I took a nap. They left like in the daytime after the class was over. They came back. It was dark time. Night was still there. I mean, I was still there, just laid out. And they was like, all right, it's time to go home. So I finally got up. I was better, and and I finally made it home. But that was one of the things I remember in Chile. So that was crazy.
Yeah, was that you, me, and Jaleel? I'm trying to think. Yeah, we were all hanging out after that class too. I think a little bit. Yeah, very good group there. And yeah, that was the small class nature of it. That was fun. That was a good last party of the year for sure.
It was. So we're leaving Chile. So now we are officially landing in Paraguay. So welcome, bienvenidos a Paraguay. And so Danny, tell us about Paraguay. What can we do, see, eat, expect, X, Y, and Z?
Okay, so I was there for about 3.5 months. Actually, when I was part of the Peace Corps. So a lot of it was training, and I was living in a small town just outside of Asuncion. And Asuncion is probably where you're going to land if you go there. It's the main city there. It's definitely the hub of the area. So you'll probably land there. Barbecue is definitely big. The asado culture is big there. And then along with definite seafood, mainly like river fish a lot that I had, because Paraguay has two very big rivers that run through it. The Rio Paraná and I think the Rio Paraguay. So those are the main air, I guess, your main rivers there. So you'll have to check those out. And then let's see what else about. So I was with a host family. The people there are very kind. Especially you get out to small towns. You might not even encounter very much Spanish speaking because the main language of the country, there are two official languages. Spanish and Guarani is the other language, and Guarani is the language of definitely a big part of the country, and you'll encounter it more, especially outside of the city there. And it's an old language, an indigenous language there, not Latin based. And so I was able to learn some of that language, which was really fascinating to me. And it's an amazing language. But in terms of landmarks, the Iguazu Falls is probably going to be at the top of the list, and that is on the border of Argentina, Brazil, and Paraguay. And I think it's maybe behind Victoria Falls or Angel Falls in Venezuela. I think it might be Angel Falls, as the largest waterfall in all of South America. And I think in terms of volume of water, it is the largest waterfall in all of South America. It's a huge, huge waterfall that's at the junction of those three countries. So if you're there, you might even go into Argentina and Brazil because it's right there. So that is a place that I think, I think it might be one of the wonders of the world, natural wonders of the world, and very impressive. And if you're thinking about weather, Paraguay in the summer, which is obviously running from our winter, it's very hot and humid down there. So be prepared for that. Be prepared for, roads that if it's rainy, they could get washed out and you might have to hunker down somewhere if you're kind of off the beaten path. And the infrastructure is definitely lower. But it's an up and coming country, I would say. People are learning more about it. It's close to Brazil, Argentina. It has some smaller cities that are very beautiful too. And the culture there is definitely one of sharing. So there's what's called tereré and mate, which we kind of had some in Chile. But so tereré is like a cold mate, and you have a jug, and everybody has, or you have one wampa, which is like a little cup, and you have your mate in there, and you'll pass around the cup. Everybody drinks from the same cup, and you'll fill it up with cold water, and it's like a tea that people have it sometimes 2-3 times a day, and it's a very social thing. So everybody's sitting in a circle, you're passing around the cup, fill it up, drink it, fill it up, and it goes around like that. And that's a really cool thing about the country. Another thing that I found interesting was when there are get-togethers with people there, they'll just open one beer, somebody will drink it and pass it around, and then it'll just be drank, and then you don't know how much you're really drinking, because you could be sitting with 6 people and it's like, oh, we just went through, several beers, and they're all just getting passed around. So I'd say in terms of sharing culture, it's really quite different than here. People really have each other's backs, and sharing is really caring there. It's number one. It's the number one thing about the country.
Oh, hey, that I ain't gonna lie to you, Danny. That's different for me. That's different for all us Americans that's listening right now. Shit, we I think we kind of raised our eyebrow, like, wait a minute, they sharing their cup like that, like it's just like natural. So that's kind of different for us. But culture is different. Go immerse yourself in the culture. Try it out. You never know. I don't know why they do that, but I mean, it's a sharing culture, so it's something to learn. Something to learn. And you can
It's
that
definitely
together.
something that was different for me. But you kind of gotta sink or swim with it, and you get used to it, and it's actually very fun because you're having conversations. I think it kind of breeds that conversation because everybody's just sharing the same stuff. So
Mhm.
yeah, that's
Yep,
very,
yep.
very cool.
Now I'll be the one opening up the beer and taking my first swig and then passing it. Y'all can take that. I'll lead the crowd. I'll lead the crowd. I'll take it off like, all right, man, here you go, brother. And then don't pass it back to me. I'm good. But what about so you already hit on the weather and everything. Now, do we need a visa to go to Paraguay?
um, you know, I don't I don't believe so. If you're gonna stay there for an extended period of time, like I was, I definitely had to get a visa. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm pretty sure you're you're allowed to get in there relatively easily. It's something I should really clarify for you because I'm not positive on that. Um,
Mm-hmm.
Being with the Peace Corps there, they were very cautious with us, so I did have to get a couple of vaccines and things to make sure I would be healthy through the whole thing. I think I had to get a yellow fever vaccine, which I don't know if they're still doing that. It might be a low enough risk now where you don't need it. And I'm sure some people don't do it if they're just doing casual traveling through, but it's something to definitely look into. You might want to do that if you're heading down there, and really anywhere kind of in that Amazon region too, because
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it's something that's rare, but you know it's something to remember that you might need to do.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so that's something to keep in mind.
Yeah, I'm glad that you brought that up. We haven't talked about that just yet, but there are some countries that require vaccination shots and immunization shots and all that type of stuff. You definitely want to look into that, especially like when you go into like Danny said the Amazon and countries to that nature. You want to check into it, see if you got to get any shots if it's required, because that's actually you got to get that prior to going. Of course, it's not like you just go there and you just get the shot and be good. So definitely pay attention to the requirements as far as vaccinations and immunizations when it comes to different countries. But I don't think there's a lot of countries that do not require it, but then there are some that that do. So do your research, do your due diligence. And then, far as what to do, oh, you said Peace Corps. Now, out of all the countries you could, because I know Peace Corps, you can go to any. I mean, I don't know, but I'm assuming you can go to other countries. There's other countries to choose from. Why did you choose Paraguay?
So it's actually one of the longest existing Peace Corps operations. They started working in Paraguay back in the 1960s, so it's been running for a long time. It's very well established. Um, I picked three separate countries in back when I was applying for it. I picked Colombia, um, I think Peru, and then Paraguay. And I think uh, I might have gotten selected because it was maybe a slightly less popular area than the other two. And if I had just put down the other two, I might have gone to one of those. But um, it's kind of an unknown place for a lot of people. It's kind of forgotten, overlooked. People think more about like even Uruguay than Paraguay because
Mm.
that's a coastal place, a little more developed. Paraguay is definitely a developing country. The
Mhm.
infrastructure is not as good as a lot of places, but if you're trying to get off the beaten path and really do something different, I'd say it's a country to check out.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Like I said, a lot of folks, they want to go to the Spains of the world and go to, which is all good. It's all cool, but the Londons and the icon China, but Paraguay, Uruguay, all those places down there. Definitely something to try out. It's not one of the more fancy, like, you have Colombia. Everyone to go to Colombia and Peru, but you might as well go ahead and hit up Paraguay and see what it's all about. Because like it's forgotten, but like I said, it's up and coming. So I think a lot of folks will start heading to Paraguay. And then far as okay, and then let me see here.
One other country that I would say is overlooked right around there too is Bolivia.
Bolivia, yeah.
And I went to Bolivia, and it's a beautiful country, very, very friendly people that are, always, down to help you with whatever you need. I remember going down there and I could get like a 3-course lunch for like maybe $1 to $3. And the food was really good. They'd always have like a hot soup or salad, main course, and a lot of times the dessert. That country is also really beautiful. There's this salt flat called Salar de Uyuni, and it's really impressive. I'm sure when you were down in Chile, you saw some other classmates that traveled over there, and they had their pictures that are all the perspectives all weird, like somebody's boot is stepping on a bunch of people because it's just completely flat. So you can do all kinds of crazy things with perspective there in terms of photos. So that Bolivia is really cool. And La Paz, Bolivia is an interesting city there that I'd recommend checking out too.
How far is that from Paraguay?
So they do border each other, but the northern half of Paraguay is like it's called the Chaco, and it's like kind of deserty, but also can be wetlands depending on the season. So it's quite a bus ride if you're going to go by bus, because just the roads there are kind of tough going to in the northern half. But they do border each other, and I'd say by bus it's around like 24 hours, 20-ish hours. So it's at least overnight bus, yeah, maybe even a little depending on road conditions.
Right. So let me ask you this: from I'm assuming you flew out of Colorado to Paraguay. How far was that flight? How many hours were you?
So I think we stopped in, I want to say Panama on the way down there. So I think it was a flight out of Texas somewhere, either Houston or Dallas, and then it went to Panama, and then from there I think it was about between. I think the whole trip was maybe between 6 and 8 hours flight time.
Okay. So not bad at all if you flying, southern United States. Now, as far as the culture in Paraguay, what is the like music and the dance? What are they? Because some Spanish countries they do they have salsa, and some is more merengue, and some is bachata. What is Paraguay? What is their signature dance and music?
That's a good question. So they have a lot of just Latin influenced music. I think when I was there, that Daddy Yankee songs were playing all the time. I don't know how Daddy Yankee is so popular, but definitely just pop music, pop Spanish music overall. I didn't get to know as many local Paraguayan bands, kind of like when we were in Chile, and we learned about some local artists like Ana Tijoux, and I remember there's a few. You could probably name a couple more from Chile, but I can't think of a band specifically from there.
Yeah, no, I understand. Yeah, like I said, Paraguay is not like your typical place. So, as far as did you listen to? I don't know. Was it reggaeton? Did you hear like any type of reggaeton out there that they was playing?
Definitely reggaeton down there too. Yeah.
Yeah, J Balvin. I don't know if you guys know who J Balvin is, but he's one of the popular Spanish artists. And of course, you got your pit bulls of the world and stuff like that. So yeah, that'll be pretty dope. And then, is there anything in Paraguay that you wish you would have done? And if so, what is that?
Um, I would say maybe travel a little bit more down the rivers there, just because a lot of cities are based off of the rivers. And I would like to, maybe try some fishing there. The rivers there are like, Mississippi River sized, bodies of water. So some of them have little beaches on them. And, you know, because it is a landlocked, relatively flat country, you have to
Mm-hmm.
really enjoy that part of the landscape. So I would also like to hit up a soccer game there. I think that would be fun. See, because they have some big rival soccer teams, and the Paraguayan soccer league is really popular down there. People take sides. There's a club Olympia, which is a big team there. Then there's Guarani, which is a team down there, and some good rivalries.
Yeah, yeah, it's one of those soccer countries, and if you've never been to South America or a soccer country in general, they take their soccer very serious. So
Very
you might want
seriously,
to be careful.
yeah.
So before we head out, we gotta get back to our home airports. But before we head out, any last thoughts or anything comments that you want to talk about Paraguay before we head on out?
Uh, I can't think of anything at the moment, but get out there and check out a country that's kind of less thought of. To try something
Mm-hmm.
new, and you'll definitely be trying a lot of new things if you head out over there. And the people are really friendly and accommodating, so I think they'd be excited to see someone from out of town there, out of the country.
Mm-hmm. Right, right. Yeah, so yeah, y'all definitely check out Paraguay and see what they have to offer. Like I said, something different. A lot of folks, it's not like the Spains or the Londons or the Greases of the world, but it's something to do and see. So definitely experience that out when you get a chance. So we do have to head on back. We have a flight to catch. So all my travelers out there, hopefully y'all got some good information on and good idea of what to do, see, eat, experience X, Y, and Z in Paraguay. And so let's do the before on the way back. Actually, we actually have one last segment, Danny. So I'm gonna ask you a list of questions. It's called the lightning round. So you got to answer these questions quick, fast, and in a hurry. So quick, 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 quick.
Okay.
So you only can answer in one word answer. So no sentences and no long drawn out answers. So just one word, and that'll suffice. So let's go ahead. Let me go get ready. Let me get ready. And I think I'm ready. Yep, I'm ready. Are you?
I'm ready.
SpongeBob. I'm ready for all my '90s babies out there. All right, question number one: what is your favorite airline?
Southwest.
Your favorite hotel or hostel?
Ooh, I'm so bad with names. I'll have to get back to you on that one.
Say no. If you have you been on a cruise? Your favorite cruise line?
I've never been on a cruise.
Say no more. Favorite state?
Colorado.
Your favorite country?
Peru.
Your favorite hostel booking site or hotel booking site?
I like hotels.com.
Your favorite
Oh,
flight
no,
booking
sorry.
site?
Sorry. Booking.com is the one I like the best.
Booking.com. And then your favorite flight booking site.
Um, the ITA software by Google, I think it's called Matrix ITA.
Okay. And then what's one thing you must bring with you on all your trips?
Got to bring a good mentality. But in
Good
terms
that's
in terms
good.
of
That's
stuff I
real
gotta
good.
pack, since I need my contact solution or my glasses for sure. Maybe an extra pair of glasses because I'm losing them sometimes. And I don't want to go blind out there.
So hey, where you want to go next?
Um, I have plans to try to get up to Canada soon. But since we're in winter, I'd like to go to Mexico. Hopefully this winter. I'll say Mexico.
Oh, Mexico. And then what other state other than Colorado would you live in?
I could see myself living in Florida.
Other than the countries you've lived in already, what other country would you live in?
I think I'd live in Spain.
Now, last question. What is your favorite travel podcast?
The Global Travel Podcast.
There we go.
Global
Good answer.
Podcast.
No, yeah, you got it. No, but so yeah, you got it. The Global Travel Podcast, man. So thank you so much, Danny. Much appreciated. We are now approaching our home airport. And to all my listeners, all my travelers out there, hopefully y'all got a wealth of knowledge about what Paraguay it has to offer. And then please follow my boy Danny. You can find him with Facebook or Instagram, and I'll put all his social media handles or whatever he got to offer. I'll put them on there. So if you guys got any more questions about whether it's the Peace Corps, Paraguay, or other state, or even Colorado, he's the guy for you. So and then Danny, much appreciated, brother.
Hey, thanks for having me. I've enjoyed it, Darren. I'm glad you're doing this, and I think you'll have a lot of great guests, and I look forward to seeing some of these podcasts and tuning in.
Dope, man. Hey, appreciate it, bro. Appreciate it. And to all my listeners out there now, the plane is now descending, so I need your attention. I need you back to your seats, buckle up, trays up, and your seats in the upright position. So before we land, Danny, if you can give us travelers, if you can give us one last piece of travel advice, what would that be?
Stay safe out there, but be sure to have fun. And sometimes you don't need to plan so much. You can just go, and if you have, an open mind and some time on your hands, whatever the time period may be, sometimes just exploring that way can be more valuable than making a ton of plans and having each step of your journey figured out and preordained. So just go in with an open mind and see what you might find out there.
I love it, my brother. So out there, my travelers, if you didn't get the message, freestyle your travels. That's what he said. Freestyle. Don't plan it all. Just freestyle. So, all right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for flying here with us at the Global Travel Podcast. We are now safely landed. You can unbuckle your seatbelts. You can grab your belongings and exit the cabin. So thank you so much for flying with us, and see you on our next trip. If you would like to be a guest on our show and tell us about your travel experiences, then leave us a comment in the comment section below so we can reach out to you. Also, if you have any countries, states, or cities that you'd like us to review, please let us know so we can plan a trip there. Lastly, if you got some good value today and liked our podcast, please hit the like button and click subscribe so you can travel with us again next time. So subscribe right now because you don't want to miss the next trip. With that being said, over and out.